Recording in progress.
Good afternoon. I'm Wilson Miao, the Member of Parliament for Richmond Centre, and I'll be your MC today. First, I'd like to welcome to those joining us today in the room, and I'd like to acknowledge our Minister, Carla Qualtrough, and also my colleague, Parm Bain, who is an MP for Steveston and Richmond East. Thank you everyone for joining us online as well on Facebook Live. And thank you so much to Olga Stachova and Mosaic for hosting us today. I would also like to acknowledge that we're gathered here on the traditional and unceded territory of the Coast Salish and ancestral land of the Squamish, Musqueam, Kwantlen, Coquitlam, Tawasin, and Tuwela-Tooth Nation. I'm truly excited to be here today and to be taking part in something that is going to be a key piece in Canada's economic recovery. Newcomers come to Canada with many skills, and they enrich and benefit our country, especially when they are able to work in their field of expertise. And who is better to speak today's announcement than my colleague, Honorable Carla Qualtrough, Canada's Minister of Employment, Workforce Development, and Disability Inclusion. A passionate advocate for equity and inclusion, she has practiced human rights law at both provincial and federal levels. She was also an adjudicator for the Workers' Compensation Appeal Tribunal. Since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, Minister Qualtrough has been instrumental in ensuring that the voice of persons with disabilities are heard and that their needs are reflected in government policy. She was also a key architect of the Canada Emergency Response Benefit and other recovery benefits that have helped Canadians avoid catastrophic income loss. And she is at the center of the Government of Canada's work to create jobs and skill training opportunities now and for the future. Please join me in welcoming our Honorable Minister Qualtrough.
Thank you, Wilson. I hate it when people read my bio, so it's I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do what Wilson did. Hello everyone. Bonjour à tous. Merci à Wilson pour la chaleureuse présentation et merci à Mosaic de nous accueillir pour l'annonce d'aujourd'hui. Je suis très heureuse d'être ici aujourd'hui avec vous en personne. To be here in person is so exciting. I feel like I was let out of my little tiny office for a day trip somewhere, and this is wonderful. J'aimerais souligner que nous sommes réunis sur le territoire traditionnel de non-cédé de Salish de la Côte. So today we're here to recognize the contributions of newcomers to Canada. At this moment in time, I think everyone can feel especially fortunate to live in a country of peace and democracy. We've all seen the horrific coverage of the war in Ukraine. And I want to say again, today, Canada stands firmly with the people of Ukraine against Putin's horrible and horrific invasion. We'll continue to provide support to Ukraine in its fight for freedom, and Canada will continue to impose sanctions and other devastating measures on Russia. Putin cannot and will not succeed. My colleague, Minister Fraser, recently announced new measures to bring Ukrainians safely to Canada as soon as possible through targeted authorization programs. We look forward to welcoming Ukrainians both temporarily and permanently to Canada. With that, I'll turn to our announcement here today. As you know, a serious priority for our government and a huge part of my mandate as Canada's Minister of Employment and Workforce Development is building the strong, skilled workforce our country needs right now and in the future. We know Canada is experiencing labor shortages in many sectors across the country, and we saw how COVID-19 exacerbated this problem. To combat these challenges, we're taking action to train and upskill workers, to make post-secondary education more affordable, to recruit thousands more Canadians into apprenticeship programs, and more. But we also know that in Canada, there are thousands of skilled, educated immigrants, qualified workers who are underemployed. Leaving these human resources untapped would not only be a serious injustice to these individuals who have worked hard to have a skilled and rewarding career, but it would be such a loss to our workforce. This is especially true right now. Canada was one of the few advanced economies to increase immigration's targets early in the pandemic to make up for the 2020 shortfall. As a result, we're expecting immigration to reach record high levels in 2022. So it's really more important than ever to ensure that skilled newcomers who come to Canada are able to practice their professions and fully utilize their experience and talents as soon as possible. It's also important that we make sure all newcomers have equal access to opportunities, that they are given the dignity of choice, that they are empowered to create the career and life they want for themselves and for their families. As an example, we know from census data that the unemployment rate for visible minority newcomer women is more than 50% higher than for non-visible minority newcomer men. We're working hard to implement change in many ways, including our plan for affordable and inclusive childcare across the country that will help address this. And that's where actually the Foreign Credential Recognition Program comes in. The Foreign Credential Recognition Program provides funds to provinces, territories, and regulatory bodies to simplify the process around recognizing foreign credentials in our Canadian system. It also provides loans and support services to organizations like Mosaic and the many others we're celebrating today to help skilled newcomers navigate the credential recognition process. It also provides supports to help skilled newcomers acquire Canadian work experience related to their professional background or field of study. Now, you can imagine if you've worked hard to get an education and then went through the exhausting, sometimes scary process of moving countries, how disheartening it would be to think you couldn't continue your career in your new home. Well, we want to make sure that doesn't happen in Canada. This brings me to the reason why we're here today. I'm very happy to announce that our government is investing $26.5 million over the next 3 years into 11 Foreign Credential Recognition Program projects across Canada to help newcomers get their qualifications recognized more easily in Canada. Mosaic, our host today, and thank you for the hosting, is receiving an investment of over $1.3 million for its Canadian Work Experience Internship Pilot Project. I don't have hands to clap, but let's clap, because that's pretty awesome. With this investment, Mosaic will help newcomer professionals with pre-arrival education and experience to step into Canada's labor market, thus providing employers with valuable knowledge and skills. And I look forward to hearing from Mosaic CEO Olga Stachova, I'm working on it, on the specific impacts this funding will have on their work. We cannot do this alone, so I'm very thankful for this partnership. Today's announcement builds on a $15 million investment from our 2020 Fall Economic Statement into the Foreign Credential Recognition Program. Since 2020, our goal has been to scale up and expand existing supports with a focus on in-demand sectors such as health, IT, and the skilled trades. Up to 7,000 skilled newcomers are expected to benefit from this investment. That means up to 7,000 skilled workers to fill urgent jobs in Canada. When we break down the barriers that prevent people from joining the labor force, we help workers reach their full potential, and we help the Canadian economy. Everyone benefits. La pandémie a mis en lumière de nombreuses lacunes dans nos systèmes et a accéléré les changements pérennes de notre marché du travail. Mais elle nous a aussi donné l'occasion de redresser les inégalités et de tirer profit de la main-d'œuvre inexploitable afin de créer un marché du travail sain et inclusif. Ne ratons pas cette occasion. We can't miss this wonderful opportunity. So congratulations again to the successful projects, and thank you to Mosaic for all you do for newcomers to Canada and for all of our workforce. The ripple effect of the work you do is obvious, and we couldn't do it without you. So congratulations.
Thank you, Minister, for those inspiring words. It now gives me pleasure to introduce Olga Stachova, the Chief Executive Officer of Mosaic. Mosaic is one of Canada's largest nonprofit agencies, helping immigrants and refugees settle and find employment matching their skill set, furthering their success and sense of belonging. As an immigrant from Slovakia, Olga knows firsthand the challenges people can face in coming to a new country wanting to integrate and settle. Olga joined Mosaic in 2018 with a proven track record of building strategic partnership amongst diverse stakeholders group. Under Olga's leadership, Mosaic is the 2021 recipient of one of the Canada's Best Workplace and the recipient of the Racial Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Readiness Award in recognition of Mosaic's current and ongoing commitment. As the CEO, Olga champions Mosaic vision that together we can advance an inclusive and thriving Canada. Please join me in welcoming Olga Stachova. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. And thank you for all of you for coming today. It's such a pleasure to be able to welcome you at Mosaic today. For the past 45 years, Mosaic has been supporting immigrants and refugees through a variety of settlement and employment programs. Newcomers to Canada come with a wealth of talents and skills and experience, and they are keen to put them to good use upon their arrival. Unfortunately, many newcomers find themselves in jobs that underutilize their talent, that don't really utilize their potential. We believe that the main barrier that newcomers face in finding skills commensurate employment is our inability to provide newcomers with the on-the-job work experience that will allow employers to test their readiness, to give feedback on actual training gaps, and also provide newcomers with the Canadian work experience, the networks, and the references we all need as we are trying to build and grow our careers here. Mosaic's employment programs are uniquely positioned to address this challenge, given the vast and the wide network of employer partners that we work with. The training programs and upskilling programs for newcomers that Mosaic runs are developed and co-delivered often with employers to make sure that we actually train for skills that employers need in particular sectors. And they always include an on-the-job placement component so that newcomers get that first-hand, first-job experience in their field of expertise. Now, Mosaic has been working with the Ministry of Employment and Social Development for many years on a number of successful employment programs for newcomers. And we are just so thrilled to continue this collaboration. And we are really delighted to receive the funding for the Canadian Work Experience Internship Program that will address directly the crucial barriers that professional immigrants face in finding skills commensurate employment. And it is finding that first job experience in your field. I'd like to thank Minister Qualtrough and her team for their ongoing support and trust, for recognizing the talent and the value of newcomers, and continuing to invest in newcomer talent development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Stachova. The work you're doing at Mosaic is unbelievable and incredible. Now, I would like to introduce Emily Dodge, who is the Social Impact Manager at Traction on Demand, a Salesforce consulting company headquartered in Burnaby and a key employer partner with Mosaic. Traction has been an instrumental in the technical training of Mosaic participants in a previous Mosaic program, the Fast Track to Customer Relationship Management, also known as F2CRM. Emily also represents Traction in its capacity as an advisory committee member for the New Employment and Social Development Canada funded program, the Work XP Internship Program. Emily has a Master in Science from the University of Massachusetts in the United States and has worked in the business and sustainability sector for other local Vancouver companies, including Lululemon Athletica and Sage Natural Wellness. Please join me in welcoming Emily Dodge.
Thank you, MP Miao and Honorable Qualtrough. I'm not going to speak long because I really want you to hear the participant stories, as that's why we're here. But we are pleased at Traction to see this funding come through. We've been working with Mosaic since 2019, and the relationship and growth to offer these training programs, and specifically the tech field, is super important. The tech industry is growing fast. There's going to be millions of jobs needed to be filled in the next couple of years. And, you know, some people, what is tech? Data architects, coders, but actually a lot of newcomers and even people that are in the industry, you need consultants, you need project managers. There's so many opportunities for newcomers with their experience in coming in, and really allowing them and giving them the access to these programs is very vital. So, you know, as we're seeing what's going on around the globe with the war, climate injustice, there's going to be more refugees and immigrants coming in, more than we're seeing in the past. So really these programs are pivotal to giving access and welcoming the newcomers to Canada, to our community, to our culture and our economy. And we're just so happy to be able to fund these programs. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dodge. And now I'm pleased to invite Carla Qualtrough, a new Canadian and Mosaic client, to come up to say a few words. Karen is a former participant of Mosaic F2 CRM program. Originally from Nicaragua, Karen moved to Canada in July 2020 with her husband. She holds a bachelor and a master's degree in business administration and has a professional background for over 10 years of experience in business intelligence, reporting, and data analysis. She wanted to work as a Salesforce administrator and achieve her dream through the program. She got her Salesforce administrator certificate before graduating from the F2 CRM program and was hired by a work experience employer partner, Cascadia Cloud Solutions. Please join me in welcoming Carla Qualtrough.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Minister Carla Qualtrough. My name is Carla Qualtrough. I'm from Nicaragua, and I moved to Canada in July 2020. I'm a former participant of the Fast Track to Customer Relationship Management Program, and I'm working as a nonprofit Salesforce consultant at Cascadia Cloud Solutions. I decided to join this program because when I started looking for jobs, I soon realized that many of the qualifications that some jobs required, I didn't have those qualifications, including Salesforce knowledge. And that's why I felt very motivated to join this program. What I like the most about this program is that it didn't only include the training, the technical training that was provided by Traction on Demand, but also we were prepared on how to apply for jobs, how to prepare our resumes, how to practice for interviews, and also we had a practice demo, which is very important if you're trying to join this field. I have joined several programs from Mosaic, not just the Fast Track to Customer Relationship Management. Since I moved to Canada, I joined the social mentoring program, and I also joined the English conversation group. So from my experience, I can say that Mosaic has had a positive impact in my life, not just professionally, but also personally. And I would like to say thank you to Mosaic for making this possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Qualtrough. And before we end our today's announcement, we thank you all for coming today and streaming us live on Facebook. And just a note that Dignitary will be available for media question after the group photo. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're gonna go through a question first, and the question will be one question, one follow-up, and the mic is over there. So anyone have a question? Please.
Question for Minister Qualtrough. Alan Check from City News and Omni. When can we see professionals actually coming into Canada or those already here to be able to work in the fields?
Well, thanks to organizations like Mosaic, sooner than ever before, I would say. So I think it depends. Olga's the expert, but I would say it depends on the particular professional qualifications people come in with. But the wraparound supports and the opportunities to partner with employers and get the training they need. I think, Olga, what would you say the average timeline is? I'm sorry, you're the expert.
Thank you. And as many of our program participants noted, it's very helpful to start the journey before you even arrive to the country. And because of the investment by the government of Canada in pre-arrival programs, what we see is if newcomers and immigrants go through the pre-arrival program before they even come to Canada, they find themselves in positions within 12 weeks. So just looking at the programs that work really well and continuing the investment, looking at the increased immigration targets, we are aiming to welcome 1.3 million newcomers over 3 years. So we are really thrilled to learn from all the programs that work really well.
Do we have any more questions before we lead to our group photo? No. Please.
Oh, no, sorry. It's just we're going to the online section for some media online to ask
Okay.
questions.
Hi there, everyone. My name
Stand
is
by
Natalie.
please.
Sorry, my name is Natalie Uno. I work with the Public Affairs Branch at Employment and Social Development Canada, and I'll be moderating today's media availability for Zoom. So we'll now begin with some Zoom calls. So if you have a question for those of you on the line, please raise your hand. Okay, Jordan Press.
Good afternoon, Minister. It's a pleasure to see you, and I think it's first time I get to wish you a Happy New Year as well, even though it's a little late. But I wanted to ask you just about your EI consultations, and obviously you've gone through a couple of those already, and I'm curious to hear if there's been anything in those consultations that maybe has changed some of your outlook on what you plan to do with employment insurance over the next little while.
Wow, nice to hear your voice, Jordan. Jordan is an expert in employment insurance, and we have a lot of really important conversations about modernizing the kind of antiquated and clunky system we have with EI. So Jordan, I think the biggest shift over the past 6 months, as we've gone through, I can't even count the numbers of hours we spent in consultations across the country and regional discussions and specific roundtables for specific EI related topics, is we started the consultation in a time of there wasn't a lot of jobs available. There was incredibly high unemployment. And the conversation has evolved through a period now of extreme labor shortages. So it's been very important to understand that EI needs to be responsive and flexible enough to adapt to both high unemployment and low unemployment. And you know, it's easy to think generously when there's not a lot of jobs out there, but we got to make sure we don't disincentivize work. So I think I've honed in even more on the need to have a system that supports workers, that's more inclusive, but also that doesn't in any way impede access to work or disincentivize work, but in fact actually contributes to building a stronger labor force.
So then, as my follow-up to that, sorry, I don't mean to play you back to the podium there,
Yep.
but just given the fact that we're expecting to see, you know, that labor shortage become more acute over the
Yep.
next little while. I mean, given the demand for workers and the declining pool of available labor, I'm wondering then if you see a need to maybe start reshifting some just the wider suite of programs that you oversee that are aimed at boosting the labor market, or if, for instance, you know, the announcement today is a way to try to start addressing some of those labor shortages so they don't become more acute and start affecting more swaths of the economy.
Absolutely. So I think, you know, the way the government of Canada is addressing this current labor shortage reality is by really focusing everything we do on addressing labor shortage. So whether it's welcoming newcomers from around the world, whether it's upskilling our current talent pool, whether it's filling the jobs that are in Canada, whether it's tapping into untapped labor pools of Canadians with disabilities, Indigenous youth, making sure our skills programs respond to the needs of employers. Absolutely. So even when you think of broader social investments like childcare, like transit, like housing, they all contribute to allowing people to get to work. If I can live near my job and I can afford to live near my job, I can get to that job. If I have access to transit, if I have access to affordable childcare, all of these investments contribute to untapping the potential of the workforce that is there now, but also drawing in and attracting the best, case in point, from around the world.
Good afternoon, Minister. I'll now ask a question from Winston Zito that we received in our Zoom chat. So Winston Zito from CBC Kelowna asks, how does the Foreign Credential Recognition Program address the issues of discrimination that have long existed in Canadian workplaces, where employers are often asking whether job candidates have what they call Canadian experience? We have many newcomers who have Canadian academic credentials, but have a hard time finding a job incommensurate with the level of their job position back in their home countries.
Really important question, and thank you for it. And again, I'll ask Olga to speak to the specifics of what Mosaic is dealing to address what I would call the underlying kind of barriers and assumptions within our employment systems about, what people, whoever they are, bring to the table, or what people think they don't bring to the table. And so one of the things that the Foreign Credential Recognition Program does is create the wraparound support to work and educate employers as to the value of this magnificent talent pool that we are attracting, thank heavens, to our country, that is driving our economic recovery and prosperity. To be very clear, it is immigration that has driven our economic success in Canada forever. And so I think that we build into these programs, and specifically with organizations like Mosaic, employer education, awareness raising, barrier removal, and wraparound supports that dispel these really negative myths that still exist very predominantly within our systems. But let's hear, because you and I just talked about this.
No, exactly, and this is that's why the announcement today is so important, because it's not only an announcement into recognizing credentials. On a piece of paper, you have your education recognized. The real barrier really lies in the inability to get the first job. So as much as we can provide opportunities to create these work placements programs and leverage the wonderful system that we have with students. When you look at what we do with our universities, we have a very successful system of co-ops, of internships, where employers bring students in their workforce every year, and they recognize that they have a role to play in training students. If we could embrace that, and if we could expand it to newcomers, we should also recognize that our workforce and the requirements change dramatically, especially in the tech sector, and we might not always be able to go back to school and get another degree. We need to be able to learn on the job, and that's where the employers will increasingly play a more important and more active role in training. So that's why this announcement is so important, because it really addresses the key barrier, the crucial barrier.
Okay, that is all the time that we have for today. So this concludes today's events. Thank you all for coming. Merci d'avoir participé aujourd'hui. Bonne journée à tous. Merci.
Well, thank you very much. Now we will head over to the backdrop and do some photos. Thank you.
Facebook Live has ended. Facebook Live has ended.